in this video suggested by our friend Mitch Hale from the UK, we're going to go step by step, little by little, on how to create a parser for a product. In this particular case is ClamAV, which Curator doesn't have a parser, but I'll show you how easy it is to create that. And to do that, what we have in here are two files. One is the actual logs. Let me show you ClamAV.log. And these are the three events types that we're going to be replaying. So there's a file, three of socket file remove, one of ClamAV started, one of ClamAV stop. And we want to make a parser for parsing only those three to keep the video short, and even though it's going to be a relatively long video. And the other thing that we're going to be using for that is the log run utility. There's a separate video that talks about it, clamav.sh, and basically is invoking the log run utilities on that directory. The file is this file that I just show you. We are spoofing the identity, making the host name called prot clamav at 10 events per second. Now, in order to catch that, because we don't have a parser, we need to put a filter to latch upon that. And we're going to use the payload contain filter. And we're going to be passing is what we saw on those logs, the word prot clamav. So whenever there is a log that has that, I want it to grab it. Let's go here, real time, and display those logs, and we see them here coming obviously unknown because there's no parser. That's actually the purpose of this exercise. In order to invoke the DSM editor with those events, we select them all and we go here into Action DSM editor. And because we want to create the new, we click on this button and the name is going to be ClamAV. We click Save. Now that is created. That's the one we want to select. So say, yeah, that's the one. Click Select. And we have all those events in here, but obviously they are not being parsed because the system doesn't know how to look for things. If you remember in the video for content properties, that is should be in the PDF on the same series of videos on the same side, we need to get two things. One is the event category, and the other ones are the event ID for every one of those unique events. Let's get started with the event category. If we put the word here, we're on the properties and we do category. That is precisely what we want to do, and we need to put the regex to catch, let's say the beginning until we find ClamAV here. And there is a separate set of videos that show you very quickly how to, if you don't know regex, how to learn regex for security very, very fast. So we need to, let's put an anchor for the beginning of the string, and we want to grab that that bracket. We don't need to escape that one. There are digits in here, so we put \D for digits. They always will be 3, and we can be more specific. But again, I'm not trying to make the perfect regex. I just want to show the methodology. We put the right bracket, we add here, and then we're going to do a non-greedy search to find the prot clam. So if we do here dot asterisk, where this is overshooting, this is too greedy, to make it not greedy. And again, I show that on the video on the regex series. And if we put here prot ClamAV, that's good enough for us to uniquely identify this as the category. And the category is going to be the same for all the events. We're going to call it ClamAV. We are done with the event category. We can even save our work so far. But now we have one of the two components, the the event category, but we need the event ID. So if we put here event ID, we find it here. It's actually override the system behavior, and let's create the first of the 3 event IDs that we will need to do. So the first one, let's do this one, socket file remove, right? Well, the regular expression to find that, let's say I'm gonna move on till here. So I'm gonna put here prot ClamD, ClamAV actually, ClamAV, and then there is a square bracket. So let me escape that one. Actually, it's a lot easier just to put the ClamD part, right? We don't need to go all that back. So if I put ClamD, and right there, and I'm gonna now escape the right bracket. That's a digit, as we did before, \D, one or many, that's the plus sign, escape the right bracket, that's there. We have a colon coming next, we have a white space, we put \S, and now socket file remove. That's the first property that so let me grab it from here, put it right there, and that uniquely identifies that first ID, and I'm going to give it the name the same but without the spaces. And to make it even prettier, I'm going to put this in uppercase. Oops. Socket file remove, and I click OK, and when I do that, notice that all those 3 events are now parsed but not mapped. We'll do the mapping later. Let's do the same thing with the one that says that the ClamAV has started. So we do that by clicking here and say, yeah, that's the event ID. We have 2 more. Let's do the next one. And let's say that we actually, and I'm not saying that this is the best regex optimized or anything like that. We need to see all the events and see what we want to do here. So I can do just copy paste in here. Notice I didn't have to put the \S. If you want to be more thorough, you can actually do it like that. It's up to you. And then what we want is the starter. We are not going to be doing capture group in this video. In the next one, I'm going to show how you capture pieces, because what we're doing is we are not capturing anything. We are identifying the events. Process, and then there's a \, and then started, right? So we have the regex. That was very easy. And the process is going to be ClamAV started. When we click OK, boom, that one is mapped. Let's do the last one, which is the stop. And this one is, let's say that I want to move until here, right, when this ClamD is. So we click here on the plus signs for the 3rd event ID that we want. We want to get there. We escape the right bracket. That's a digit, 1 or more. We escape the right bracket. We have a colon. We have a space, \S. We have 3 dashes. We have a blank space, and then the word stopped. And that will uniquely allow us to identify that event as such. We're going to call this one ClamAV stopped. We click OK. Now all the events are parsed but not mapped. To get to the mapping, we click here on event mappings, and we don't need to select them individually. because the system will do that for us, and here they are. So let's take the first one, and we are going to choose a new QID. You can try to find existing categories and stuff, but this is a new thing, so we're gonna create QIDs for that, and we're gonna again, we could search in here for all the possible matches, but that's not what we want to do. We want to create a new one. We're going to call it ClamAV started. ClamAV started. From the description, go to the web page and grab the best description from the documentation, and you put it here. Now, what can this category be? Well, let's say that this is from the system high-level category, and the low-level category could be, let me find one. There are several here. Again, I'm not trying to be precious in here. I'm trying to keep the video short. So let me put service started. Severity 1, I think it is fine. We click OK. So service started. The log source type, we can leave it for any, or we can actually say that this is ClamAV. ClamAV. Click OK. Click create. One down, 2 more to go. Let's do the stop one, which is very similar. We choose a QID. We're going to create one. So we click here. This is going to be ClamAV stopped. Again, description, you grab it from the website. This is also going to be system. And the low-level category, there was a service stopped. Severity 1 is, well, let's say that this is more important. Let's say that this, I want to ramp it up to severity 5. We click save. We click OK. We click create. We're done. This is that something has been removed, and ClamAV detected that that happened, so that's a bad event. So let's say that this, we click here, create a new QRE record as before. Socket, let me leave a space, delete it. Again, the documentation, you get the right thing and paste it there. Say that this is the categories audit, right? And let me see if there's something here for deleted or something. Oh, actually, object removal success. Again, I'm not going to pay too much emphasis to that and say that this is a bad event. I'm going to give the severity of 8. I click here, OK. Again, this I'm going to make it specific to ClamAV. Right, so click OK. Click create. And now we have parse and map. There's one more thing we need to do. Let's go into the configuration to do that last step. I want to enable auto detection. I want QReader from this point on, when they see these events, to be able to recognize them. And we select the advanced option. How many successful events should it find? The default is 25. I'm going to make it just 1, right? And we are good to go. We have created our ClamAV parser. That wasn't hard, wasn't it? Let's actually go back here. Remember, these were unknown from the previous time. Let's go back in real time with that filter and replay the events one more time. Actually, the system kicked me out. It was ClamAV.sh. Let's run it and see what happened in here. So we see that there's one unknown, because remember that we told them in the configuration, once you get one auto detection, one find, then treat the other ones like that. In fact, is to make sure that you will not see that unknown again with ClamAV here, at least with these events. If we replay it one more time, all of them will be recognized. Here we see all the events that we had. If we stop the events and we look in here, you notice that that nomenclature came because we made it, when we selected wasn't any, was actually we selected ClamAV, and we see that there's no any custom properties. We haven't extracted anyone. Actually, let's actually do those just for completeness. And here's the event, but the event was nicely identified. So let's say that we want to extract from this type of event that fresh clam, and let's say that this is a process ID. I'm making that up. Well, if we want to do that, we actually click here, map event. We can do it also from the DSM editor, by the way. I think it's from here. Let's actually do it from the DSM editor. So to keep the video shorter, I already replayed the events again, and I'm going to select, let me pause this here. Let me select this socket event and open it with the DSM editor. So let's say that, let's pretend that we want to extract, let's call this the product ID, the PID ID, the ClamAV product ID. I'm going to make that up. And we want to have rules that fire when the product ID is 186 and whatever number it is. So we need to have it as an additional property here. So we're going to click here to create a new property. Let's see if I do this right. It's a new property. We're going to call it ClamAV PID. It's a text of alphanumeric. It's actually it's going to be a number. You put the description here according to what you want to do. Again, I'm going to put some placeholder here. And if you want to use it on rules, that needs to be indexed appropriately. So you want to click there. There's a separate video that talks about that, and we click save. Now, we have the property here, but we need to tell it how to grab it from the actual text. I'm not going to use the suggested regex because we learned on those videos I showed you before how to find this, and you see it's actually very easy. So we're going to go here, and we're going to traverse until that point. We're going to escape the left bracket as we have done before. Now we're going to put the capture group because that's what we want to grab, that number in there, and it's going to be a digit, any digit that is in there. I need to escape the D because to say that it's a digit, and then I'm going to need to escape the right bracket. Oops, right bracket. And notice the different colors that is actually saying, okay, I now know what you want. What capture group is that one? Is the first capture group, the only one that we have there, right? And we click OK. Actually, I don't need to put $1, I need to just put 1. Okay? And we save it. And we are good. We can either close this. To make the video shorter, I replay the logs one more time. And now when we go to that particular event, notice that in the ClamAV custom property, that's the one we added, we have extracted that. Now we can use this on the rules, and we can, use this as any other property. I hope this gives you, keeping this under 20 minutes, a step-by-step walk into creating a simple parser for, in this particular case, ClamAV. More examples are coming that meets suggested.